Hello, you lovely listeners. I'm Amy. Welcome to the Really Good Conversations podcast, where we will delve into the minds of the business people we have met in the process of launching our first card game. We will be uncovering their secrets to success, their biggest mistakes, and sharing the key lessons they have picked up en route. So, if you're looking for an engaging chinwag mixed with business insights and a good pinch of fun, you're in the right place. Let's have a really good conversation. So, welcome, Rosie, to the Really Good Conversations podcast.
Thank you for having me. Thanks, Amy.
So today we're going to be delving into the world of PR. And, I think it's a love-hate topic for some people, perhaps particularly for product business owners who know PR is an important part of the marketing mix, but really have no idea where to start, or it feels a bit out of reach perhaps for them. And this is why it was really great that you have come on the podcast today to sort of help demystify that and tell us all about the world of PR from your perspective and all about your company, which is called PR Dispatch. So firstly, actually, a big celebration and congratulations that today's your 6th birthday.
Woo!
But can you explain for our listeners what PR Dispatch is all about?
Yeah, so PR Dispatch gives product-based businesses, e-com businesses, everything they need. We say to do their PR in-house, which means to do their own PR, whether it be a solo founder or a small team, or even like a slightly bigger SME. So we give them access to a kind of a portal, which has PR insights from us and our kind of 12 years of PR experience, a press database, which they're able to filter and search and save, and then reach out to the press because all the contact details are there, and then support. So we have a community group and we also have weekly support calls, and it just allows them to do it efficiently and affordably.
Fantastic. And obviously we had a good chat before we started recording, and I was sharing with you my very early years in the PR world back in sort of 2007 as part of my university degree and a little bit after. And I remember back then, you did have access to this, database of contact details, but the agencies paid quite a large amount of money to be on these databases to know who are the best, the editors and their details. But ultimately then the process was to ring them all up and go through them. So, that back then was still time consuming, even when you worked at a PR agency. So I think for you to provide this platform for people with no PR experience, it really is, giving them the tools and putting it all in one place for people, which just sounds amazing.
The bigger databases, because we had them when I ran a PR agency for many, many years, and they are quite overwhelming. So when I started, I thought I need to reduce this overwhelm, because having access to every single person that works at the Times, you don't have a clue who does what article. So that's why I said just e-com businesses, just product. That's what we're going to niche ourselves to. So hopefully that reduces the overwhelm for people, because I know the feeling of being like, I don't know who to contact.
Yeah, and you still, as you even said, I do remember you would still get passed from pillar to post, or those databases might still be a tiny little bit out of date as well. So you might still, the person has left or moved on. And you touched on there, you obviously ran your own PR agency for about 8 years. What prompted you to create PR Dispatch?
So when I first started the agency, I started with no previous PR experience. I'd never worked in PR. I was just given a pile of magazines and told to pitch their product in during an internship. So I knew that PR could be done, like with no previous PR experience. I knew if you could send an email, you could do it. So it was probably, 4 or 5 years into running the agency, and the agency was kind of successful and really great to run and really fun, and we had great clients, but we kept getting business requests from maybe smaller brands or brands that maybe didn't have the budget to spend on PR, because it is expensive. It is expensive with an agency. And these brands, they have great product. The bottom line is they had fantastic product. And because we'd only ever worked in product and product was all we knew straight away if a product would do well in the press. And we were getting sometimes up to 5 different business requests a day for these people that wanted PR but didn't have the budget. And I thought, we have to create something that serves these people. There are so many of them. So I said, we're going to create a kind of a test run, if you like. Oh my God, it was rubbish. It was really rubbish. We're going to create, like, it was all done by email. It wasn't even a login. It was all done by email. We used to email people kind of details on who to contact at the press and like a pitch email template. Anyway, I said, if people sign up, we'll start a business. So we launched it to our mailing list that we had at the agency, which loads of those people had like inquired previously, but didn't have the budget or weren't quite ready. And we had a number of signups on the first day. And 2 weeks after we launched, one of our members, it was a candle brand, got their first piece of coverage in the Metro. And I was like, this is serious. You know, we've just given them an email with 3 contact details of 3 different magazines and an email pitch template, and they've done it themselves and they've managed to secure coverage. And I said, okay, I said, if people got coverage, we'd start a business. So I started the second limited company, never thinking it would become the main one, but it did.
That is amazing. And yeah, just to see that organic growth and to have that, you know, we'll spot that gap in the market really. And I think, you know, breaking the mold from perhaps the traditional agency, and I think anyone listening, and we had a laugh about this just before, of some of the realities of the PR world. There is sometimes some, I think, a bit of stigma as well that goes with it as well. So you've helped move all that to one side and let people just focus on actually, you know, getting the right people, getting coverage for their business. What was the final point that you decided to close the PR agency?
So COVID. COVID came a knocking. I think for a few years I'd been not considering it, but thinking one day I maybe didn't want to be running an agency anymore. I have to say, when I started in PR, I'd never stepped foot in a PR agency or worked on the other side. So I had no idea how PR worked. I did it my way, which was friendly, approachable. We were always transparent. We were so transparent with our clients, you know, honest, didn't take on things we couldn't do. And so I'd had a really nice experience with it. It was never a bitchy environment. It was never like that. But I kept hearing from people that that's how PR was done in other places. So it was interesting to see the contrast. So I have to say, loved it the whole way through. But 2020, had my first baby. We relocated from London to Devon, and PR Dispatch completely exploded. It went from being this tiny little side hustle to like scaling kind of bigger than I ever imagined. LFA, which was the agency, in contrast, lost all its business apart from 2 clients. So the decision was made for me. I kind of said, you know, the world is telling me that this is the time. So in January 2022, we kind of gave the notice to the last client, and that was it. We shut the doors.
Wow. And that thing I often say, you know, everything happens for a reason and perhaps pushes you down this path. What advice, and you sounded like, you know, as you said, the decision was sort of made for you a little bit, but it had been something you had considered maybe, you know, happen in the future anyway. What advice would you give to someone who perhaps is thinking, okay, I think I want to come out of the business that I'm doing, or I want to close it, or I now want to do something else, or pivot it and now we focus on a different part of it?
I think if you can test them, I think what made it much easier for me is that I had PR Dispatch. There's real feelings of feeling like a failure if, you know, you close a business, and not even to like customers, but more like friends and family, and then say, oh, well, you know, I told you it wouldn't work. So the transition was really easy because PR Dispatch had already taken off. If I hadn't started PR Dispatch in 2017 and like gone with an inkling that this is something that might have been needed at some point, I wouldn't have had anything to fall back on. So I think test the waters, keep testing, keep pivoting, keep seeing what clients want. I never expected this to become kind of our full-time business that would hire kind of 5 or 6 people, but it has done and it's worked. So yeah, just keep pivoting, keep your mind open.
And how has it been different for you, or going from a, I guess, client-led business to now a membership style business?
I have to say, I loved our clients at the agency, most of them. But I did 98% of them I absolutely loved, and we worked really, really well together, and we had great brands that we worked with. And actually a lot of them have now become PR Dispatch members.
Brilliant.
Which is very, very nice, to still be working alongside people that we worked with for many, many years at the agency. But it 100% takes that pressure off me. Meetings with clients, that email when you get, we need to have a call, that fear that you get. Because we have members now, they pay 3% of what clients were paying us at the agency for PR Dispatch for that access. They are very grateful. We're giving that opportunity to brands that maybe wouldn't be able to do it otherwise. We're giving them everything they need to do their own PR. And there's I think there's a pivot in mindset when you're paying someone a lot every month to produce results versus you're paying someone a very minimal fee to give you the skills to do something yourself. Like the mindset changes, and it happens for every business owner. I totally get it. So it's much, much nicer. And I think it's much nicer on the team as well. We don't have to go to client meetings. We don't have to be in London anymore. We've all moved, well, most of us have moved out of London. I live in Devon. Cecilia now lives in Kent by the seaside. So we've really kind of changed our lifestyles, work a 4-day work week. We're not around on Fridays at all. None of us. It's nice. It's really, really nice.
It sounds brilliant because it sounds like also it's giving you so much more, actually a whole change in lifestyle as well by having this different style of business that isn't perhaps reliant on face-to-face. And I imagine, even the agency world of doing pitches and going through those competitive pitch stages to get the projects. And I think certainly there is that expectation and clients want to see that, return on investment. And I remember, myself in those early days of, you're scrambling to okay, what coverage have we had? Okay, we need to put the reports together this week. Yeah. And if something hasn't come through, which may not be it's out of your control, or, there's been a big story in the newspaper and something, that's just taken over the first 3 or 4 pages.
Yeah, you cannot control the press. You can't control results. You can't control if something's going to be cut or featured. And it is, as an agency, it was so frustrating that you'd work so hard. You'd maybe have 5 pieces of great coverage in the pipeline and 3 of them would get cut on the day. And that is really, really hard, and not having that pressure anymore, especially as I'm a new mum of 2 kids and trying to juggle everything else. It's amazing.
I could just feel the weight has lifted from you. And I can just relate because as we chatted before, I have come from the agency world, in different types of agencies, but it's a lot of the same stuff that goes on. So you mentioned you have moved to Devon, and obviously, yes, I'm very envious of your office pod by the water. Do you miss London?
I don't miss London. I love when I go back. I absolutely love it when I go back. Oh my gosh, when I step off that train in Paddington and I'm child free for 2 days, it's really, really lovely. But after 2 days, I am excited to get back to Devon. And like the way of life, like yesterday, it was actually sunny yesterday for the first time in ages, and I nipped to the beach with my laptop and got some work done down there, and no regrets. And it's actually made us, I think, work better as a team, us all being happy in our own space. I think one thing that I have kind of enforced recently is I've got everyone a co-working space near their house, just because that's the only thing, being so far away and not interacting with people day to day, and maybe for some of the team like being in their bedrooms. So just I'm making sure they've all got some co-working, because I think that's really important for mental health. But apart from that, no regrets.
Brilliant. And what about yourself? Do you get lonely in your pod, or do you have a co-working that you would go to as well?
I am waiting for Kingsbridge, which is my local town, to open their co-working space. Nothing happens quickly, slower pace of life down here. So I'm waiting for that to open. But I do have friends that I go and co-work with. So we'll go to a cafe or somewhere and co-work together. So I do try and interact with people. I don't try and be a hermit down here too long.
So the next thing we're going to discuss, Rosie, is some questions from the Really Good Conversations pack. You haven't seen these before, but don't worry, nothing too scary. But I thought I'd kick off with, again, quite an easy, gentle one. What was your favourite subject at school?
Oh, easy. Art and textiles.
Oh, really?
Easy. It was the only thing I was good at, and the only thing yeah, I would never have done it. I couldn't do anything else apart from art and textile.
And do you do anything arty and textile today as a hobby, or?
I mean, I'm probably head of design at PR Dispatch. So in terms of designing newsletters and designing gifts, artwork, yeah, I still do that kind of stuff. I'm more into like home renovation now, but I have an MA in textile design, so I should actually put it to use at some point.
Brilliant. But then it's the realities of time, as we say. It's, you know, I know myself, I've been thinking, oh, I could get the sort of French chic paint and do up this chest of drawers, and I'm like, in reality, it's just not going to happen. I'd like it to, but I can't find the time to actually do it. The second question that I'm going to ask: who is the most famous person you have met in real life?
Oh, I don't know. I was on The Apprentice, so I've met Alan Sugar.
Really?
I wasn't a contestant. I should disclaim that. I wasn't a contestant. I was a judge at the final in 2018. I judged, you know, they all sit around the city hall.
Yes.
I was one of the judges. But is he really the most famous person I've met? Probably. Oh, I need to sort that out. I live near Ben Howard and I see him a lot.
Oh, nice. Well, now you'll have to broach a conversation with him, just so that you could be like, oh, next time I get asked this question, I'm going to say you, Ben.
Yeah, I will.
That could be your opening line of, oh, someone asked me today, who's the most famous person I've met? And I see you.
It's you.
Okay, and the third question: how has your life turned out differently from what you had expected?
I thought I'd be in London forever. I thought, yeah, London is where I would be forever. And I always imagined that for my whole life when I was little, and I used to watch films like, I don't know, Mary Poppins and like all those London films where they like live in nice houses, which never happened to me. So I don't know why I'm saying like that was my life. But yeah, I thought you'd never ever get me out the city. And if it hadn't been for COVID, I don't think I ever would have gone.
Wow. I was going to ask then, what made that change? So the COVID.
Yeah.
Is that because you then obviously locked in, or you then were, I guess, looking at what was on your doorstep of what you could walk to when you think about when we were, you know, in those limited radiuses? Or what do you think was the trigger that made you question the location?
I think it made the whole world think in a different way. I think it made everyone go online. I used to do workshops in person twice a week, and you know, I could have never envisaged doing that any other way, but actually it forced us all into a certain way of working, which then opened up, you know, the opportunity to do this long term and live from somewhere else. Like if I'd have pitched a workshop over Zoom in 2019, no one would have picked it up really. Everything was in person, and I was running from here to there. And actually it's made it the norm now. So I don't have to turn up in person for a workshop. I can do the majority from down here, and I think it's been so good for my mental health and so good for bringing up kind of the kids in a kind of an outside world. I just would have never thought that I'd be here.
Yeah, and it's interesting you mentioned that, because in 2019 with our other business, we actually had a client that we were doing a project for. The client was based in Australia. The event, it was a live event, and that was in Australia, and we were back here in the UK for 4 months at the time. And you know, we did that whole project remotely, but it was a testament to the client that she said at the time, you know, I don't have an issue with where you are as long as the work's getting done. And we communicated at all sorts of different hours of the day on WhatsApp, on everything. And this was before COVID, you know, it was before COVID happened. It was very interesting that the exhibition we were working on for the client the title was The Future of Work Tomorrow.
Oh, love it. She knew.
We did laugh. We did laugh when 2020 rolled around, and we were like, well, that came a bit quicker than planned. Yeah. And then almost ironically, we were due to do that same event in 2020, but then obviously we couldn't because it got cancelled because of COVID. So very strange times, but it did make me think at the time that it's also down to the people that you're working with and having that forward thinking, being open to working differently. And I think everything that you've shared today and that I've seen, you know, on your own website about, you know, your previous agency, about PR Dispatch, is that you and the team, you know, are that forward thinking type of organization. And I think that's just fantastic. And I think, you know, what you're giving to so many smaller businesses is that accessibility for people to do things and do them in a different way. And, you know, yes, there'll still be a place for people going to agencies and working with consultants and completely having it taken off their hands. But I think there's definitely an area this, you know, suits a lot of people, which is fantastic. So the very last question I will ask you is, if you could ask any person, dead or alive, a question, who would it be and what would you ask them?
Can I get up my answer?
Oh, yes, you may.
So I've written this down because I wanted to get it right. So I would ask Beyoncé a question. A, because I love her, but B, because there's something that I want to do right with my kids that I would love to know about hers. So her family plays a really important role in her life and career. So this is the question I would ask her. What would your advice be on bringing up kids to understand the value of money and the meaning of hard work when they live and are brought up in your success?
Oh, that actually gave me tingles then. Because that is a real, like, yeah, it's
how do you keep those kids grounded? How do you make them understand hard work? And I see Blue Ivy like dancing on stage, which is great. She's obviously like working really, really hard. But yeah, I'm just really interested. How do you keep them so grounded? How do you make them see the value in money and hard work?
Wow, yeah, that is, and you could see that probably for so many celebrity families, should we say, because and we all we've grown up knowing that person's journey or heard about it and heard about all the hard work training they had to do and the, you know, trying to get the record deals or whatever. But the children are born into the world where that's already happened, so they haven't seen any of that, which is interesting. Thank you so much for your time today, Rosie, and for sharing just some of the insights for PR Dispatch and some tips along the way. How can people find out more about you guys?
Oh, they can follow us on Instagram at PR Dispatch. They can head to our website, prdispatch.com. And if they want to find out more about our PR membership, which gives them access to everything I talked about earlier, we have a tour every day, Monday to Thursday, so they can go and join that.
Oh, fantastic. And I will give a shout out to if people do check out your Instagram, that I loved your 6th birthday post that you shared today. And in that you did share sort of 6 nuggets that you would pass on to future generations who are, you know, starting a business or obviously in that business world. So I thought that was a perfect post and definitely one that people should check out. And I'll actually include a link to that as well. But yeah, thank you for your time. It's been fascinating and I'm sure we could talk for hours longer.
Amazing. Thanks for having me, Amy. Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Be sure to check out the show notes for more information on today's guests. And if really good conversations are your thing, hit subscribe and join us next time for more business journeys, insights and banter.